welcome back to theCUBE studio here at the New York Stock Exchange. This is Mixture of Experts, part of our programming with NYSE Wired. And joining me now are two women who are a masterclass in the attention economy. Chantel Jeffries, DJ and founder of Vizn Ventures, and Alicia Quinn, content creator. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you, Gemma.
Yeah.
I think this is the first time we've had three women on this.
First.
Yeah, which is, I'm just so excited to share.
I love
with
that.
you too, right?
I'm glad to be a part of the first
what a
three
moment.
ladies.
So, Chantel, we're going to start with you. This is a very interesting time to be a woman, a time to be a creator, a time to be an investor. There is a lot of excitement, a lot of anxiety, and a lot of noise, right? So AI, what are your thoughts? Like, there's so much uncertainty, excitement, noise, not really a huge amount of signal just yet, right? What are your thoughts?
I think AI is a very powerful thing. And so with a lot of power comes a lot of responsibility. I think, there's great ways to use AI. And even for me as a creator, I see so many opportunities to help exponentially increase my workflow in the space of, whether that's editing videos, creating content and things like that, helping just with like making business plans and being creative, and all the menial admin tasks that I get done on day-to-day basis, whether that's scheduling and like planning out my events, my outfits, booking glam and doing all these things. So it's like having something that can help make that workload easier is great. But at the same time, we have to be wary of the fact that anything can happen with AI. When you're a content creator or you're somebody in the public eye putting your image onto the internet, you're feeding the AI with things that can then, create deep fakes, or whether that's like use your image to promote products. I've seen it so much on TikTok and some of these other platforms where there's a video that has all of these celebrities or, people, they're endorsing a product, but it's actually not them because it's just taken their voice and changed what they're saying and things like that, to where I think, we do need to be cautious. Security issues is another thing we need to be cautious about. So I think like just having that frame of mind when going into using it is really important. I try to think like, when I'm putting something on the internet, like this could be used in a different way and things like that, and more than I have in the past. So that's just something that I'm aware of, but I do think it's a really exciting time in the AI space.
Definitely. Sorry. And I think that especially being in this creative space, it's really important. And I hear so much discourse surrounding how do we use AI to make our jobs and our lives easier, as you were describing, versus not replicating or actually replacing individuals in those creative spaces.
Yeah, I think everyone is scared of saying, oh, AI is going to replace, but I think you have to kind of look at it in the same way as the internet. When the internet came, it's like there were so many jobs where you're writing by hand, you're filling out things. It's like it just takes so much more time. But then when the internet came, and now it was like, okay, it's so much easier to send an email than wait to write a letter and wait for it to come, things like that, to where it's looking at it as a tool. And at the end of the day, we are the humans, we're creative, and the creation that we have and the creative energy that we have, that comes from our personal experiences that happen with us being human. So, I think that that's something that's not going to change.
When we think about the evolution of the internet, right, especially as it relates to women, and some of the ways in which the internet was obviously fantastic for women, but also a little scary, right? Like, if we think about the beauty industry, for example, or some of these apps that were made without really any female input. Like Uber is a perfect example, right? If a female product engineer had been involved in Uber 10 years ago, maybe there would have been like an alert button or an SOS function much, much sooner.
Right.
And when we think about AI right now, there's certainly reason to believe that the speed is really leading everything, right? And some of the ways in which it could impact young women, like deepfakes, we've see a lot of horror stories around what that could entail, isn't really accounted for, at least not yet. Like, what are your thoughts on that as creators? Like, does that concern you guys? Even the idea that people could rob your images, right? Like, which is part of your bread and butter.
Well, I think what's exciting about the AI space is there are a lot of women involved, and that's something that I've noticed because of the time that we're in. It's kind of like a turning point where I've seen that, people have exponentially grown a business in the AI space to billion-dollar businesses so fast. And so I think that's exciting. But when it comes to saying, this is my image and how am I going to protect that as a creator or as somebody in the public eye. That's something I've had to deal with for over a decade. I've had people using my image for clicks and, make a story up so that they can make money and it's monetized, and with no regard to the truth in a lot of cases. So that's something that I've just dealt with. But to see that like your image can be used to sell products without your knowledge or make different types of photos and video content without your knowledge, I think that we're going to really have to make some big changes in the laws in the space. We haven't seen changes in these laws. Like everyone's kind of a public figure now versus 10 to 12 years ago. That wasn't the case. Like you were not a public figure just because of anything. Like you had to make an effort to be a public figure, and that was kind of just celebrities, there's like celebrities in politics. There wasn't really like that middle ground of people that's like, are you a public figure or are you a private figure? And now people are treated like they're all public figures, but there's different laws for public and private figures. So I think that's something that we need reform in that space, especially with the growing of AI. And yeah, it's just something that I try to keep in the back of my mind and I'm wary of, but I also try to get ahead of like, if I see people using my image, if I do, I like keep on top of that. But that's something that, the average everyday person, how are they going to be doing that? So it's something that we need to be aware of.
Definitely.
Moving forward.
Yeah, when you said getting ahead of it, because that is something that scares me too. But there are AI tools out now that will actually find other accounts using your likeness, and they give you the option to take it down. So that's been really useful in that space as well.
Wow. Yeah. So in terms of the creative industry broadly, and you say something really interesting there, right? Like everyone is kind of a public figure now, or can be. You can become a public figure by downloading TikTok or whatever it is to your phone, right? But the attention economy is a very interesting phenomenon. It's happened in some respects quite quickly, and you're right actually, Chantel, too. There is a lot of women who have done a great job at capitalizing on this, and like great, right? Thank fucking God, like that's great to see. But what are your thoughts on some of the questions that kind of float around the attention economy broadly from the perspective of, is this an actual asset class? Like, does it have longevity? How do you guys think about that?
Well, I think we've seen in just the press and media for decades and decades, that is what a lot of these publications are run on, especially in the entertainment space, is attention. So what do? They write catchy headlines and clickbait type of titles to get more clicks and garner more attention because that turns into monetary value. So I think over the past 12 years, we've seen how attention is equal to monetary value. And that's something that we didn't really understand before on a personal level. Like we understood that for big celebrities, and obviously news and media outlets have understood that. But as like a normal everyday person, that wasn't something that we really understood because there wasn't really a way to monetize it in the same way that there is now. So I think it's just finding the balance between attention and privacy. And that's something that, I've taken a step back from, I still want to produce content and be forward facing, but at the same time, like keeping a lot of my personal details just private because I've had some situations, and I've had like stalkers and different things like this. I've had people thinking they're speaking to me, but it's actually someone using my image. And I've had, just some very, scary and complex situations. So, and this has happened. I mean, the first time that happened to me was over 10 years ago. So I've kind of seen this from the very beginning, like as one of the first people in this space, one of the first people working with brands and kind of turning, okay, there's all these people like following me. How are we turning that into a monetary value? How are we turning that into like a serious career at the end of the day? So I've seen kind of like the upside, the downside, the whole thing.
Absolutely.
I mean, I think the attention economy broadly is like so interesting too from the perspective of keeping audience, right? Like, even as a media outlet, we have seen how attention spans are shifting all the time. What was long form, exactly, right? What was long form 5 years ago is very much, like extremely long form now. Like short form used to be 20 minutes, now it's 60 seconds. Like the attention economy is waning, or the attention span of humans seems to be waning quite rapidly. How do you guys think about like continuing to build audience? Like, are audiences changing all the time? Do you need to think about new tactics all the time?
I think, we deal with rubber band effects. Things go in and out. And I think as things get shorter and shorter and people start to realize the effect that has, they make a conscious effort to go the other direction. I mean, I spend a lot of time just reading and just keeping myself focused on something. I put my phone down so many times throughout the day. I lose it like 10 times a day in my house because I'm like, put the phone in and I get into the task I'm doing. And I think as we move forward, we're going to see just a big increase of sport, just people like playing sports and doing gamified things where they're like, okay, I'm actually like in a flow state focus. I'm not like doing anything else. And for a certain period of time, I'm focused on this one thing. So I think that people are going to start to make a conscious effort because we're just humans. We adapt. So if you start to do shorter and shorter and shorter, that's how your brain's going to adapt. It wants to be able to get as much information as it can because at the end of the day, our brains are wired for survival. And if it thinks that that's how you are surviving is like making sure you get every information that you see, like get it all, see it all, that's how our brains are going to adapt. You have to take a conscious effort to make yourself, go the other direction. So I just think people are starting to do that and they're starting to realize that.
I think you touched on something really important too, which is knowing your audience. Not in terms of growing it necessarily, but the audience you already have cultivated. We're always talking about building community. I think it's really important to be cognizant of who your audience is and what you represent to them, especially with things like brand deals. So I think that's really important as well to consider. Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day, you want to add value to the people in your community's lives. And so I think that, yeah, you can scroll all day, but like what value are you taking from that? What knowledge are you taking from that to be able to make decisions in the world and like feel that you're informed?
Right.
And so I try to, inform people in certain spaces that I'm in, but at the same time, I've become more of a private person over the years just because it's like I genuinely am like all day researching and speaking to people about my investments because that's generally what it's taken off and then I'm also interested in. So I find that like that's just taking a back seat to the thing. Like before I used to produce a lot of content, make a lot of YouTube videos, ask people like, what is it that you want to see? And things like that. And that's just something that's taken a back seat for me, just with what I've been doing and things like that.
I really want to talk to you about your investments. But first, I want to ask you guys both an interesting question, right? I have noticed as a 41-year-old woman that there is definitely somewhat of a generational shift in how people think about the world of an influencer, right? Especially as a marketing tool, as a mechanism for reaching audience. Like it, I have certainly seen situations whereby people of a certain generation might like roll their eyes at the idea of it, right? But at the same time, it is generating so much traffic, so much activity. Like it is, it's what ads and commercials were like, in the 60s and 70s, right? There is no denying that. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on that kind of like peripheral skepticism that sometimes still exists around the space? Like, do you guys feel it? Have you felt it in, the time you've been building your own brands?
I mean, I personally think that when it comes to like influencing, I was never like thought that I was an influencer. I never was trying to be an influencer. I was going to art school at the time of like also modeling and going into my career, which I was always planning to go as an actor. That's what I was studying in school. And at the time, it just kind of like was building and following online. I wasn't trying to do that. I was just going about my life, like posting photos, like going to college, not really thinking much of it because it wasn't really any way to necessarily monetize it at the time. That was kind of like anything that people were doing. So for me, I had a plan like, oh, I'm going to school. I'm going to be an actor. Then like what happened was I started DJing, and at the same time, brands were reaching out. And once like I had done a few things with brands, I was like, oh, I want to make my own company. I want to make my own makeup line. So I feel like I've always done my own thing. I've never only been an influencer per se. But at the same time, I think that like people in that space also take a lot of the way that there was critics and all of these people. I think if you're really good at being an influencer, you're taking in a lot of data, you're processing it, you're seeing what is the best. And if you're taking it serious and you're actually doing that, I mean, I think people have great opinions in that space, and it's really useful to drive traffic, not just to drive traffic, but actually give a valid opinion of someone who's seen a lot of data in that space. So for me, that's actually one of the ways that I got into investing, was because when people are sending me products, I've tried every single makeup product on the market. I've tried every single hair product on the market. I've tried every single skincare on the market. I'm getting sent things left and right. I'm trying way more than the average person. And I also value my opinion. So then on top of that, I'm like, okay, I can make quick decisions because I'm like, this lip gloss is good or it's not. This skincare product is good or it's not. Mm-hmm. This new gadget, I've seen 100 things like this or I haven't. Mm-hmm. And so I think that people in that space actually do hold more data than just the average person. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense as a natural segue into your investing. So as a woman, from that investment perspective, what are things you look for?
Well, number one, an excited founder is someone who's passionate about what it is that they do. And like over the years, meeting thousands and thousands of people, you kind of like create archetypes in your mind of like, okay, this type of person goes out and gets this done, or this type of person is very creative in this space. So you kind of start to build patterns and recognize them to say like, oh yeah, I can see this being successful, in that type of sector that it's in. So that's one thing that I look at. I obviously think about all of the products, and if it's a space that I've dealt with a lot of products, then I think, okay, is this a superior product? Because there's things that succeed that are not a superior product, but I just don't really want to be a part of it necessarily. It's just not for me. Like I want to stand behind the things that I'm invested in. I want to use them every day, and I want to feel like confident in sharing them with others. So I'm looking for like great products, great founders, and people that I can collaborate with on ideas, because I advise for a lot of the companies that I am invested in. So sometimes there's things that I've had an idea for that I didn't have the time to execute. And I'm like, oh, great, you're working on that. I would love to be a part of that. I can invest, I can advise, I can make connections and things like that. So
for the viewers and listeners, give us some examples. I know you mentioned Aura, Poppi, Lolly. Like, give us some thoughts on some of the kind of big high-profile investments you've made and how those came to be.
Yeah, so Poppi was actually my first startup investment. I had been investing in some other stuff, whether that was like crypto, SOG, and things like that, real estate. But with VC, that was my first startup investment. And I loved the product immediately. That was the first thing I actually was sent the product to try from one of my other VC friends. He's like, oh, I'm going to invest in this company. I want you to try the product. Give me all your thoughts. But she would do often. And he was also encouraging me since 2017 to get into investing in startups. So he sent it over. I loved the product. I'm like, oh my God, I love this product. He's like, you should think about investing in it. You love it. And I'm like, I would love to invest, like this is something that not only do I love the branding, it's super fun. Like I love the product. And then meeting the founders, I was like, oh wow, I clicked with them. I can see their vision. I can see the path that they're going to take. And so we worked together on a lot of stuff, and we did like events. I DJed for them, we did like press stuff, and we did posts, and we did all sorts of stuff working together. And they sold to Pepsi last year for about $2 billion. So that was a great experience of like a whole run of investing from an earlier stage, working through like kind of the whole course of it, getting them, saying, oh, you guys should sponsor this party. Oh, here, let me connect with these people to do this event. And kind of just anything that could come to mind, because I really love the product and I just was really integrated into it. So that's been a great journey. And that's continuing. Like I said, tomorrow I'm going back to LA to DJ for Cymbiotika, which is another company that I invested in. They're doing a launch event into all the Ultas. So that's super exciting and fun. So going to do that. And yeah, there's like so many fun companies. I love to be a part of it all. It's all things that, I love to use and integrate in my life and share with friends. So
you get to be on the investor side and the creative side.
Yes.
Really cool.
I love to do it all. Like I'm very much a well-rounded person that I like to go around. I think you learn a little bit about everything else you do from doing something else. So that's kind of been my experience.
It's also a really interesting take on like an active investor, right? Because you're offering your own brand to the brand.
Right.
Like it's very
like a
clever.
Collaboration.
Yeah,
the same
it's
way
so
that
fortuitous, like, right?
Yeah, I think it's the perfect collaboration.
For sure.
I think, yeah.
So I write a lot about female investing, right, for Forbes. And one thing I hear all the time is like a lot of women are scared to invest because they don't know how to read term sheets. They don't really know what they're looking for when deals are being due diligence, right? Like they don't know how to assess some of the commercial elements of these deals. And then they have a little bit of inertia and they're like, oh, even if they love the product. Like I remember Ashley Graham had a wine brand, and a number of women, I was at an event, were like really interested, thought it tasted really good. And people were like, but I don't really know anything about how to like do the math on this,
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that whole, like, I guess, social conditioning that sadly seems to prevail?
I have always thought, like, from a young age, I was like, oh, I can, anything academic wise, it's like, there's no difference. For me, I was a mathlete growing up, and I graduated when I was 16. So like I actually had to go when I was in middle school every day to high school to take classes and then go back to middle school because I was ahead of everybody else in my school. So I just was like, I'm smarter. Like, I don't think a guy is smarter than me. And I just never have. And I think like, not to say that there aren't people, but like, that's just kind of the thought process in my head. I've never thought like, oh, I'm a woman, I can't read this deal sheet. I thought I was going to be an investment banker when I was really young, just because of the fact that like I excelled in mathematics and sciences. I was an athlete. All my teachers were encouraging me in that direction. But so I just kind of always have thought that way. But I think nowadays with AI, that's one of the things that's very useful about AI. You can help. There's a lot of tools when it comes to reading deals or legal things like that. So I think that we're in a great time when it comes to that stuff. And I think like, don't be scared. I ask people, I ask questions. If I don't know something, I want to know. So I ask a question. And I think that's something sometimes people are scared to do because they don't want to seem like they don't know something. I'm like, what's this mean? And it could be like something so obvious. I'm like, well, I think from our conversation, you know that like I know about other stuff. I don't feel ashamed to say like, what does this mean?
Yeah.
So then just asking. And I ask people, I'm like picking up the phone and calling people if I have a question, you know, can you help me? Can you look over this? Like, what do you think about this? And I like to try to get multiple opinions because I feel like sometimes they clash. I'm like, interesting.
Yeah.
These two people think something totally different about the same product. But yeah, so like just ask questions and use AI when you can. If you haven't, if you don't know, like figure it out one way or the other.
How about deal flow? How does it come across your desk? Like, is it mostly to like kind of a intimate circle of connections? Like, how do you come across these opportunities? I know you're like a high profile person, right?
Yeah,
so your life is quite unique, but like typically how does it come about?
There's no typical because it's all different. Like I have people come to me with things sometimes. I outreach sometimes. There's, I mean, it's kind of, those are kind of the two ways. I also have obviously a network of people, but I think again, they will say like, oh, I think this makes sense for you. And the same thing that I do. It's like, oh, I'll have something in mind and it's not necessarily a great fit for everyone. I know that's kind of in the space, but maybe there's like one or two people in the space. I think just being a DJ, honestly, you cover a lot of ground.
Yeah.
You're at a lot of events, you're networking with a lot of people. And I think especially the types of events I DJ, I'm meeting a lot of founders, I'm meeting a lot of other investors and influencers and things like that. So there's just, I'm always listening, talking about investing. And I come across a lot of deals like that. I think also too, just like me getting deals and also sharing them with people. It's like people are always reciprocating in this space, which is something I've noticed I think like is a great thing about the VC space. It's always like link and build, like let's take a call, let's see if there's synergy, like let's check, I invested, I did this, I did this, like let me intro you, I'll intro you. It's a great, crossover. So yeah. Anyway, it could literally be anything.
I love that, link and build.
Right.
So Chantel, what's ahead? Like what does the next 12 months look like for you? I'm sure it's exciting and cool.
I mean, again, still keeping up with kind of the situation I have going, which is DJing a bunch of different things, investing in a lot of really cool stuff, and advising on those companies. Maybe the founder in that space is coming soon. We'll see.
Okay.
I'd love to, put all my creativity into my own thing.
Wow.
So, don't want to give away too much, but
Look out
I feel
for
like
it.
that's the next phase for me. And yeah.
Well, love having you on theCUBE. I wish we could clone you. Maybe turn you into a drink that little girls can just drink and have the confidence and ambition you bring. It's so great. It's so refreshing, honestly.
Thank you.
So thanks so much for joining us.
Of course. Thank you so much for having
Hopefully
me.
we'll see one of your
So
sets
fun.
this year as well.
Yes, I'm sure I'll be back soon.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
I'm Gemma Allen here at the CUBE studio at the New York Stock Exchange. This is Mixture of Experts, part of our programming with NYSE Wired. Thanks so much for watching.